What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Thunder Sports Pod with JT and
The stash, baby. Back again.
yes, sir. We'll go ahead and dive into a little bit of basketball talk early. So, should Jalen Brunson be in the MVP discussion, and are the Knicks a legit threat come playoff time?
I don't think they're gonna be a threat. Like I still don't see it happening. Bronson has been playing pretty hot, but like when it comes down to it, when I'm thinking about the MVP, there's only four guys in my mind. You got Jokic, Luca, Tatum, SGA. Those are the top guys I'm looking
Mm,
at. And I'm not saying Brunson's playing bad, but I don't know if he's doing what the others are doing, kind of sense.
yeah, I agree with you. I think Brunson is definitely should have been an All-Star starter. Before the All-Star break, he was playing at an elite level, still a good player. Um, But the Knicks are kind of just sliding on the back end of things here because um they traded away RJ Barrett. They've got some good guys in the building, but I don't know. I'm not a big guy on the Knicks come playoff time. They're not proven. They haven't been putting up a deep playoff push. But they've got the players to make it happen if they're fully healthy. OG Anunoby, a great player. I think come playoff time they could shock some people, but I don't think they'll go that far. Now the MVP discussion though, if you're talking a month or two back, I think you could make a case for Brunson, but right now I don't see it. He's not been consistent, and like you mentioned, Stash. I think Jason Tatum, Nikola Jokic, SGA, those type of guys, Luka Doncic are definitely above Brunson currently.
Definitely.
But we'll go ahead and move on to the next topic. Who's the better NBA player all time? Kawhi Leonard or Paul George?
I'm gonna go with Kawhi the Claw on this one. I think now, if you give me Paul George before the injury, I would have. If he never got hurt, I probably would have went with Paul George.
Yeah.
But I gotta go with Kawhi, even though they've missed a lot of games. Kawhi's got it done. He's got two rings. That Clippers team is finally starting to get things rolling. Who would think?
Oh yeah.
You go back 7 years ago, you would never think all those guys would be on the same team together. So but I'm going with Kawhi on this. I think he was a better defender. I do think that Paul George was a better scorer, and he still kind of is. But Kawhi can score when he needs to, kind of sense.
Mm-mm.
And nobody plays defense like Kawhi. Not really.
No. I think I would have to agree with you on this one. I'm choosing Kawhi Leonard for longevity and just sustained high level of play. Although recently, over the last couple of years, he's been pretty injury plagued. So I think pre-injury Paul George was the better player. If I'm just being real, like you mentioned, he was just a dog with the Pacers. Unfortunate injuries kind of led to the demise of Paul George's peak performance. He's still a great player, still a superb scorer, but right now, currently, if you ask me who's the better player all time, I'm going Kawhi Leonard, the Claw. He's a defensive anchor, and he has a ring, something that Paul does not have.
He's
So
got two.
yeah, he does. He's got two. So I think Paul George. I think it's pretty close, but I would give the edge to Kawhi Leonard.
We're in agreement on this one too.
Yeah. All right, guys. This is a little bit of a fun and interesting topic. So who would win in a 1v1? ISO Joe Johnson or Prime Melo? Carmelo Anthony. Who would you choose?
Carmelo Anthony, hands down, no debate about it. No second thoughts. No. I'm going with Carmelo. Hoodie Mello. If he's walking in there to shoot some hoops in a 1v1 and he's wearing a hoodie, Hoodie Mello dominates anybody. I don't know if anybody can handle Hoodie Mello.
Oof. I mean, I think you're disrespecting Joe Johnson a little bit,
No,
man.
no,
Did you
no, it's
forget
not.
his ATL
I'm not
days?
trying to
I mean,
disrespect Joe Johnson. Not in the slightest. I remember watching him play, but
yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
They gave him that nickname, ISO Joe, for a reason.
Carmelo was an ISO the entire time he was in New York.
Yeah, and people forget in Denver too. He was a killer. So this one's tough for me, man. I could go either way, but ultimately, I think I'm going to give the edge to Carmelo Anthony. I think it's a very close decision, but if I had to have one person to save my life and they had to get a bucket 1v1 against each other, I'm going Melo. I think he's the better 1v1 player, and I just think he would be able to get a bucket against Joe Johnson easier than vice versa. So I'm giving it to Carmelo Anthony, although, like I said, ISO Joe, he was like that. So everybody can let us know down below who would you have battle. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next topic, more NBA talk. Can Zion Williamson finally lead New Orleans to the playoffs?
Mm, they look like they're finally getting something rolling there a little bit.
Hmm.
If I think they make the play in. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I think they have a shot at the playoffs, but it's gonna be a play in kind of sense.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think they'll beat the play. They're the 5 seed right now, and the West is pretty competitive, but I think they'll be able to sustain it to the point where they won't have to be in the play-in tournament. I mean, they've got some dogs on that team this year. Brandon Ingram, Zion, and I mean, I think their depth is pretty underrated as well, coming off the bench. So I don't know. I like it. I think Zion can lead them to the playoffs. He's finally having a season where he's not hurt and
That
he's not looking like a 300 pounder.
300 pound. I'm.
But yeah,
I want to see how they do. Like I said, I've been watching a little bit of. I watched one of their games the other night. They're looking like they're getting things rolling. They just got to keep this level of chemistry going. Because Brandon Ingram
exactly.
was supposed to be the next KD. That's what he was described to be. And he's been around the league a little bit. He's finally like kind of just balling with Zion. I hope they can do it because like I don't want Zion. I don't want Zion to be a bust. I think Zion
Yeah,
was highly scouted. He should be an excellent player. So
for sure. And if they do make the playoffs, it'll be yet to determined like who they match up against and how far they'll be able to make it. But it looks like Zion is finally turning things around for the Pelicans, and I'm glad to see it. But uh, we'll go ahead and move on to the next subject. So, Stash, who is your favorite player in the NBA besides on your favorite team, if you had to tell me?
oh, it's Jokic, easy. I
Jokic.
yeah, it's easy. It's Jokic. Man looks like he's like half asleep out there balling and putting up like he's a almost has more triple doubles than LeBron already. Uh, he's a scoring machine, but like he gets the rebounds, he does everything, and like he doesn't even look like he's trying half the time, but
Yeah,
he does this. Like so, if this man's giving it his all, imagine what he'd be doing.
exactly.
Man would be putting up 30 double doubles with points and assists like Scott Skiles.
Mhm. That's the truth. Jokic is that guy, and he just loves his horses, man. He loves to be in his hometown country. He could care less about hooping, and he just does it on the side hustle. But I think my favorite player that isn't on my favorite team, I've got two guys I really like a lot. De'Aaron Fox for the Kings is probably one of my favorite non-Celtics players because his ability to get to the hoop so effortlessly is just amazing to me, and his speed, his athletic ability is like him and Ja are very similar, but I like De'Aaron Fox a little bit better. The other person is Luka Doncic. I
Luca,
love Luka, man. He's crazy, and he's been on a tear recently. He's got the Mavs looking good. But those two are my favorite non-Celtic players
I,
right now, currently.
I almost put like Aaron Gordon, but like I was trying to go no someone who
Yeah.
didn't play for the Magic. But like the Nuggets are like the team I kind of root for just because like on the because like I like Jamal Murray. I think he's a beast. I think
Mhm.
he's a very underrated guard, especially in the playoffs. And like I like Aaron Gordon because he
Mhm.
played for Orlando for a long time. So like when he went there, I was kind of like I'm like let's go Gordon. He got his ring. So like yeah, the Nuggets are just kind of like my like fair weather team over there. Like hey,
Yeah.
good job guys.
Another guy that I really liked watching growing up as a kid was DeMar DeRozan. In his prime, his mid-range pull-up game was impeccable.
Bro, when him and Kyle Lowry
Whew.
broke up, I was so sad for him.
Yeah,
They were best friends.
they were so tight. That was a sad departure for sure. But let us know down below, guys, who is your favorite player that is not on your team? Let us know down below. But moving on to the next discussion. So, should the NBA and NFL merge for their All-Star games? NBA players trying NFL, NFL trying NBA, because we witnessed probably one of the worst All-Star breaks in recent memory.
Very. I actually like this idea. Do it like basically the same concept idea, but NFL instead and NBA swap. So
Mm,
like drills and stuff, you would have like certain people like do wide receiver,
yeah,
uh, quarterback, different positions and stuff, and try like 40-yard dashes and stuff. Basically, I have them just go through like their little own little combine for the NFL and it's just for fun.
yeah,
Stuff like that. I think that'd be cool. And then having NBA players do the same thing: 3-point contest,
yeah.
All Star game, dunk contest. I think that's a really neat idea to do.
Dude, that would be really cool. I love that idea. Imagine Miles Garrett going up for the dunk contest. Woo!
I'd watch it. I would watch
Yeah,
that.
me
Like that
too.
sounds so fun to watch.
It does though, doesn't it? I mean, I would that would be it'd bring a lot more viewership in, and the dunk contest would be a
Oh,
lot more entertaining.
break it up and like have a flag football with game with the
Yes,
NBA players.
yes. Imagine Chris Paul in the slot just getting pressed,
Nah, Chris Paul
and then
be
Russell Westbrook and
Chris
as a
Chris
linebacker.
Paul would be your QB. He'd be the passing guy.
Chris Paul, you think would be?
Yeah, he'd be passing that rock. I mean, that's what he's done his whole career.
I think Tyrese Halliburton would be a pretty good quarterback.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He would be.
Yeah.
He'd be a good QB.
Oh yeah.
Jokic would be he'd be playing safety, just like whoop, tuck it from you.
Oh man, that'd be pretty wild. And
No,
then
I have Jokic be
some,
tied
yeah.
in. You just throw it up.
Really?
He's coming down with it.
Okay.
He's like bro, was huge.
I think I'd rather have Giannis at tight end.
Oh, well, you got different teams.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true. Who would your receivers be?
Ooh, my receivers probably
Yeah.
Wimby.
Wemby.
who's
You
who's
just got the
who's getting
athletic
anywhere
freaks
close to
going
him?
deep.
I
Mm.
throw it deep for the Wimby every play.
Take his knees out. No, I'm
I mean,
just
this
kidding.
is flag football, bro. This is flag
Well,
football.
yeah.
We're not trying to do all
Yeah,
that.
exactly. No, I'm playing. No, no injuries, no injuries. But that would be something to see. Jokic, Giannis, Wemby going out deep for passes, and then Halliburton throwing them the ball. That would be wicked.
Imagine,
But that'd be,
imagine Ja or Kyrie with the like running the ball like as a
oh
QB
my
sneak.
gosh. Or
Ooh,
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox,
the
Kyrie.
speed and
That'd
the
be,
handles, just like holding it in one
ooh,
hand, just juking people out.
yeah. I would love to watch that, honestly. That'd be a lot of fun. And then NFL players doing basketball stuff.
Yeah,
I
3-point
mean,
contest between like you could do a game like a celebrity game kind of deal, but
oh yes,
NFL players, I like that.
me too. That'd be pretty neat. But let us know down below, guys. What do you think about this idea? And which players would you have competed in the different drills and games? But we'll go ahead and move on to the next topic at hand. Which NFL player surprised you with how well they performed this past season the most?
So as a Bucks fan, I would say Baker.
Mm,
Baker impressed me way more because like I did not think he was going to finish the year. I was a guy who thought Trask was going to take over.
mm,
Didn't happen. So I was wrong on that 100%. I'm very glad I was wrong about that.
oh yeah,
Very glad.
made it to the divisional round. Yeah,
Yeah, we were a top 8 team last year. So like
yeah.
I'll take that. But
Pump your chest up. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but the guy he impressed me a lot. I will say
Yeah.
that. There's a lot of guys who I thought were very impressive. Montez Sweat for the Bears,
Yes.
leading
Yes.
the Commanders in sacks and then coming over and leading the Bears in the sacks during a trade mid-season was crazy to me.
Mm.
That impressed me. Another guy who like really impressed me very much was Puka Nakua.
Yeah. Oh
Puka
yeah.
Nakua
100%.
blew my
Yeah.
mind. Dude was incredible. Um, Addison for your Vikings
Yeah.
was great. Taking on the
Yeah. He
number
was.
one role when Jetta got hurt, that was huge.
Hmm. It
Tank
really was.
Tank Dell was a
Tank
big one.
Dell's a dog. I
Oh
love me
my
some Tank Dell.
goodness. Whoa, he was great. CJ Stroud really impressed me.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Like
Yeah.
there was a lot of guys who took over this season that really like just like blew my mind and when with how well they played.
I
Kirk
agree.
I mean Kirk before he got hurt was on an MVP season.
Yeah.
Uh, I will say Patty Mahomes impressed me even more. I mean, he won a Super Bowl with like no wide receivers besides Kelsey.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the best QB in the football for a reason. Josh
And that,
Allen's and the Bills
yeah.
comeback this season from like 6-6 and end up winning the division was crazy. There was a lot.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot. I mean, a lot of players really. surpassed expectations this season, and it was just a lot. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks were hurt this season, so that a lot of teams had to defy those obstacles, and they overcame them.
I will say the Bills as a whole organization this year too. Not the Bills, the Browns. The Browns as a whole
Right.
organization being hurt, everyone's hurt.
Yeah,
You're able to still make the playoffs was
Joe
incredible.
Flacco.
Yeah,
Yeah,
losing with Joe Flacco, your starting QB gets hurt, your starting running back gets hurt, like you're banged up. Amari Cooper and Joe
yeah.
Flacco just get you guys through it. It was incredible.
Who would have thought of that? Whoever wrote that in the script was cooking. But for me personally, the player that really stood out to me who surprised me the most this season, I know it's probably the clear-cut, most obvious answer, but it was CJ Stroud, man. It really was because I didn't predict him to lead the Texans to the playoffs in year one
I didn't either.
at all. And he just played with such a, chip on his shoulder and swagger, and he was just really going crazy this year. I didn't think he would perform at that high of a level that early in his career.
I thought the Texans for sure were going to have another bad year, and then like next
Yeah,
year, I
me too.
thought they'd be in that similar like spot, like fighting for the playoffs kind
Yeah.
of deal. I was not expecting him to first year.
I believe my record prediction for the Texans before the season started was like 6 wins,
Yeah,
6 or 7 wins. And I did not see them making that sort of role. But that just goes to show how much a generational type franchise quarterback can turn your team around. And let's not forget about Will Anderson, their other first round pick on the defensive side of the
he
ball,
played.
did
He
really,
balled
really
out.
good. He balled out as well.
Then their coach
So
too did awesome for his
Oh
first
yeah,
year.
D'Amico Ryan's incredible job. So I mean, that just goes to show the importance of the draft. If you hit the draft, you're setting yourself up for the future extremely well. And if you get a couple of guys in free agency that adds to your team, you'll be a playoff team. Um, but yeah, another guy that really surprised me before we move on was Deron Bland of the Dallas Cowboys. Whenever Diggs went down, I wasn't sure on how well he would perform in the
Oh
absence
wow,
of him,
yeah.
but he went crazy. He broke Deion Sanders' pick six record for one season, and he definitely was able to step. Granted, he got beat quite a bit down the field and a lot of yards. I mean, whenever he was throwing the ball out, he came down with
Still
it more
five
than not.
touchdown, five pick sixes on the year was absolutely
Yeah,
like that's
I
not
mean that's
heard of.
insane. That's unprecedented territory for sure
There
because
are a
nobody
lot of
else.
wide receivers or not a lot of like DBs and stuff who have that aren't even in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's up there with legend territory with that one, breaking that record. But uh, we'll go ahead and move on to a little fun game. So, start, bench, cut, quarterback edition. I'm gonna give you three quarterbacks, and you tell me which ones you're gonna start, bench, or cut.
All right.
Big Ben, Eli Manning, Matthew Stafford.
I'm starting Big Ben.
Yep.
I'm benching Matt Stafford. I know that sounds crazy. I
Ooh.
know cutting Eli, but
Ooh.
out of sheer pure talent between the
Yeah.
three, I'm going that's my route. Like Eli has 2 wins against the greatest QB of all time in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. Well, I will not take that from him. But when it comes down to it, like out of just regular season and just looking at it, I gotta go with the other two over him. Big Ben
Mm,
is going to be Big Ben's an all-time great. Matt Stafford will most likely be in the Hall of Fame, so I've
yeah.
got to go with Stafford and Big Ben on this.
All right. We're similar with our starting off. I don't think anybody disagrees. Big Ben should be number one. I mean, I'm starting Big Ben. I'm benching Eli Manning, and I'm cutting Matthew Stafford. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Eli Manning, people forget about Eli Manning because Peyton, his brother, is obviously the better quarterback. But like you mentioned, he beat Tom Brady twice in the first Super Bowl. But this man, Eli, he was a baller. A lot of people just put him in Peyton's shadow, but they forget how many times this guy was in big moments and came through and delivered. So um, granted, you can argue with me the talent aspect of it, where Matthew Stafford was dealt the worst hand and still put up crazy numbers. And he was an Iron Man. I mean, he barely missed a game, played through a lot of injuries. But if I'm taking a quarterback, I want a winner. And Eli Manning was a winner, everybody. So I'm going Big Ben, Eli Manning, and Matthew Stafford. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you.
That's fair.
Yeah. But we'll go ahead and move on. to the next topic, college football. Are you ready for this, Stash? Are you ready?
Let's go.
Which three college football teams should be on the watch list this upcoming season to make some noise in the new 12-team playoff format?
So, do you want people who were not in the top four, or do you
Yeah, spice it up a little bit.
spice it
Don't
up a little bit?
make yeah, yeah.
Okay. My first one is kind of crazy, but I think they impressed me last year. They just made some mistakes. I'm going with the Miami Hurricanes as one of those teams.
Ooh, okay, okay. A little bit of the U action going on.
Number two, I think they got in the with the NIL and transfer deals and everything going on. I'm taking Ole Miss as another one.
Mm,
Ole Miss
yes,
might
sir.
have the best offense in college football this coming season. So
They definitely have a great team loading for this upcoming season.
and I'm gonna take. They weren't top four, but I'm gonna take them. I think they're gonna have a better year this year. I think they finally get over the hump of what we call the last 4 years of losing. I'm taking Ohio State.
Okay, that's respectable. I think they definitely are a favorite to make some noise this year because Ryan Day has got all the talent in the world now. He's just going to be able to go there and set those guys up for success because if he fails again this year, he's out the door, man.
Florida State, I'll throw in there with them.
Yeah.
I do think that Florida State got a bunch of transfer portals, but they were like they were right there at five, so I was kind of like I was trying to like go a little further back.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Um, I definitely like the Ohio State pick because I mean, they're going to be right in the thick of things all year long. Michigan losing to Harbaugh, that's a big question. Can they finally beat Big Brother? So they've had their number. Michigan has for quite some time now. But I think Michigan, they'll probably get beat by Ohio State this year. I'm just putting that out there.
I think so too.
But
That's another. That's why I was saying I think they get over Michigan this year. I think
yeah,
Michigan will be on the regress. I think Michigan's going to
yeah,
regress this
I
year.
agree. I agree. But for my three teams, we have one similar team I put in my
Ole
top
Miss.
three. Watch out. Yes, I'll go ahead and start off with them. Ole Miss, Ole Miss, everybody. That's their team is going to be one of the most complete teams in the entire SEC coming season. Their offense is loaded. They got some big time defensive talent, especially on that defense. So losing Judkins, the running back, will hurt them. He transferred to Ohio State. But I think they'll still be having a great season under Lane Kiffin and be able to make the playoff,
Ooh,
12-team playoff format.
uh,
So
so
uh,
who
my
else you
other,
got?
my other two teams may be a little bit shocking. One of them may be, the other one probably not so much. But Oregon, I think the
Okay.
Oregon Ducks will be getting in. Bo Nix leaving them, but they got Dylan Gabriel and they've got some QB talent coming in to Oregon, and I think their defense will be just fine. So I've got Oregon really competing for the
Hmm.
playoffs this upcoming season.
I think I can get. I think I have an idea for the last one.
hmm Oh yeah, we'll see. Uh, so I'm trying to be unbiased here, but my last team I think is gonna make some noise is the Tennessee Volunteers.
Okay, no, this is not who I thought. I thought
Okay,
you
who
weren't
do you,
gonna go with them. I thought you were actually gonna say LSU.
LSU? No, I don't think they will. But Tennessee, I think, has a realistic chance at getting into the playoffs and making some noise because their schedule's not that hard. If we take a look at it, their three toughest games: Oklahoma, that's a winnable ball game. Georgia, they'll probably lose that game most likely. Alabama, winnable ball game. So they're sitting at 10-2, maybe even 11-1. But I think Nico is going to get that offense right. They got a lot of starters coming back on the offensive side of the ball. The defense might have to worry about a little bit, but we'll have to wait and see this fall how they stack up against SEC teams. But I've got Tennessee making a deep playoff push in the new college football 12-team playoff format.
How many games does Tennessee lose next year?
I'll say they'll go 10-2,
10-2.
but they'll still be getting in the playoffs.
I think I was say I think they'll beat Florida this year. It's in Neyland,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I went. It's in Neyland, so we're probably gonna lose.
yeah, yeah. We'll split the series every year in the swamp and then back in Neyland, but but those are our three teams, everybody, that we predict to make some noise in the playoffs next season. But let us know down below, who do you have making noise? And we'll go ahead and move on and transition to the next topic at hand. So, this is the last topic, everybody. We've got a very interesting game. So, which trio are you taking all time? quarterback Patrick Mahomes,
Ooh.
running back Saquon Barkley, wide receiver Justin Jefferson, or are you taking the Tom Brady, Eddie George, and Larry Fitzgerald trio? Which one are you going with, Stash?
It's definitely like a young versus old school.
Yeah.
I will say I think the era we play in will determine a little bit how the play scheme goes.
Hmm.
I do think like if you put Justin Jefferson, Patty Mahomes, and CMC on a team today, I do think they just decimate the league.
Yeah.
But I would say the same thing with the other. Tom Brady with Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald doesn't drop balls. Like Larry Fitzgerald is like got the best hands of all
Yeah.
time, in my opinion. And
Hmm.
Eddie George was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So I think today I would definitely. I'm gonna have to go with Mahomes, CMC, Justin Jefferson.
Or Saquon Barkley instead of CMC. Who would you say? So it's going
Mm,
to be
mm.
Mahomes, Saquon, and Justin Jefferson, or Brady, George,
I
and
might
Fitz.
take Brady. If you swap CMC, I might take Brady.
Yeah.
If you if you give me Marshall Falk instead of Eddie George, I'm definitely taking Tom Brady. And
So that'd
uh,
be the deciding factor for you.
yeah, the running back plays a big factor for me.
I mean, it does. It really does.
Like Larry Fitz, like Jefferson's got good hands and he's gonna make some spectacular catches for sure.
Hmm.
Larry Fitz is gonna make sure he's gonna catch the ball every time you throw it to him.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, when it comes down to it, like Patty Mahomes gonna make a lot of plays. Don't get me wrong, he's the best in the league for a reason. But CMC, he's such a dog.
Hmm.
Yeah, CMC's probably
Yeah.
the deciding factor on here for me. The running back
Yeah.
really determines it.
Hmm. Yeah. I think overall, Mahomes, Saquon, and Justin Jefferson, that's a gnarly off. Tom Brady, Eddie George, and Larry Fitz. Whew, I mean, I don't see any defense stopping that. Either way you look at it, but I'm going with Mahomes, Saquon, and Jefferson. I think it's pretty close, but I would rather have that trio in my opinion.
Yeah, I would definitely go with it, especially like today's game. Oh my goodness, they tear it up.
Oh,
Like
100%.
that's just not fair for the rest of the league.
No, yeah, no doubt. But let us know down below, guys, which trio are you taking? Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, and Jefferson, or Tom Brady, Eddie George, and Larry Fitzgerald? But we actually have one more game before we end things. I thought it was the last one, but it's not. A build your team of 5 players. So out of these 15 players, I'm going to give you some names. So quarterback, you have 3 options. You can only pick one quarterback out of. So who's your quarterback going to be, Stash? Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, or Dan Marino?
Aaron Rodgers,
Ooh, okay,
hands
okay.
down.
I like that pick. I like it a lot. So running back, we've got you can only pick one. Steven Jackson, Westbrook, excuse me, or Jerome Bettis.
First off, first off, I bet there's gonna be a lot of people who do not know who Steven Jackson is. I'm gonna let you
Yeah,
know that. Steven Jackson was a dog.
dog.
Oh my goodness, he was a
Yep.
dog. Brian Westbrook was a beast in Philly. But I'm going
Mm-hmm.
with the bus, Jerome Bettis.
Oh, I like it. The bus. And then you can pick 2 receivers out of these guys. Are you ready?
All right,
Andre Johnson, Steve Smith, Reggie Wayne, Wes Welker, Jordy Nelson.
I'm taking Andre Johnson and Steve
Yep.
Smith. Easy.
Steve Smith and Andre. I
Yeah.
like it. I like it. Those are really 2 solid picks. And then finally, we've got the tight end position. You can pick one: Greg Olson, Jason Witten, or Vernon Davis.
Vernon Davis is slept on too. That's another name
He
no one
is.
talks about. Jason Witten
Exactly.
was a beast. Jason
It
Witten, I remember
was.
Jason Witten on the Cowboys like growing up, and Greg Olson. Don't forget Greg Olson.
Some of the best
Uh,
2010 era tight ends. I mean,
I'm
those guys were
taking.
crazy.
I think I'm going to take Jason Witten.
Really.
I think
I
I'm
mean,
going to
he was such a security blanket. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a great
So
pick.
you get
Great pick.
my lineup is Aaron Rodgers at QB with Jerome Bettis in the backfield. Andre Johnson and Steve Smith are my 1 and 2, and I've got Jason Witten as my tight end. Yeah, I'm
Mm.
solid. No debating it. I'm
All
set.
right, everybody. I've got my team. It's a little bit different than Stashes,
Taking
and
Patty Mahomes. I
let
can't. You taking Patty
let
Mahomes?
us. You have to say which team you like better. So, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, or Dan Marino. I'm going with Dan Marino on this one. I think he has the
That was
best
my
deep
second
ball
choice.
ability.
That was my second
Yeah,
choice.
yeah. So, I'm going Marino, running back. I'm going with Steven Jackson. I'm going with Jackson on this one. People sleep on that man, and I think he would be a great complement out of the backfield to this team. So I'm going with Steven Jackson. My receivers, I picked Andre Johnson as well. I think he's the best option out of these guys. And for my number two receiver, might be a little bit of a hot take, but I'm going with Jordy Nelson. I'm going with Jordy Nelson right here. Yes, sir.
Really?
Yeah, and in my explanation here, so I'm gonna have Andre Johnson take over the top, down the field. Jordy Nelson can work in the slot. A lot of people say, why don't you take Steve Smith for the slot? I think Jordy Nelson is just a little bit better at getting underneath the defenses and route running ability. Steve Smith, his yards after catch was a lot better, and he's
He was a lot
just
more physical wide receiver.
yes, he was a lot more physical, but I think Jordy Nelson was probably just more slick in his routes and deceptiveness.
More
So
like a St. Brown esque.
yeah, yeah. So I'm going with Jordy to complement my team. And then tight end, I like Witten, Greg Olson, or Vernon Davis. Any of those three would be great. But I'm gonna go with Jason Witten just to kind of complement the team. His ability to be across the middle, just be like a security blanket, like you mentioned. So I think he could take over the field in the middle of the field, and just be like that security blanket, like I said again. So I've got Marino, Steven Jackson, Andre Johnson, Jordy Nelson, AJ Witten,
That's a good team. We're
and
very
you.
similar. The Dan Marino was definitely one I was like I was looking at. I'm like, oh, damn. I'm either taking out of the
Yeah,
three. I'm like, it was Marino. I'm like Marino. If he had Andre Johnson, would have been unstoppable. Like just that one weapon.
yeah, they've been wild. I mean, for me, I think the big playability with Andre and Jordy, like over the top, and even have Jordy in the slot some, but Witten underneath, like those little short to intermediate routes, would be huge for my team. And Steven Jackson having the defense draw like in the box, it would open up everything down the field. So I like my team a lot, but Stash he has Aaron Rodgers, the Bus, Andre Johnson, and Steve Smith and Jason Witten. So which team do you like better? Let us know, people. Let us know down below. But that'll wrap up everything. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Leave a comment, sub if you haven't already, share the video. Check out the TikTok too, by the way. It's doing pretty well. Same handle, Thunder Sports Pod. But it's been a pleasure. Been
TSP baby
JT.
and Stash
JT,
baby.
yes,
TSP.
sir. We out.